Ahmed Tinubu, accompanied by the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, made history this week as the Nigerian president's state visit to the United Kingdom became the first by a leader of Africa's most populous nation in almost 4 decades. During a state banquet held in his honor by King Charles, the British monarch hailed what he calls a partnership of equals between the UK and Nigeria. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer heard the president's visit the first by a leader of a West African nation in 37 years as historic. A Downing Street spokesperson said the two leaders committed to deepening their long-term partnership on trade, infrastructure, and sustainable growth. Joining us on this show to review the highlights of President Tinubu's visit to the United Kingdom is Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, Nigeria's former Minister of Foreign Affairs. Good morning, Professor Akinyemi. Thank you for joining us.
Daddy.
Thank you.
Daddy.
You look good, sir.
You look good.
Away from your bow tie and suit. Welcome. Good morning,
Daddy. Oh, yo.
Prof.
Daddy.
Prof.
Now,
Prof, second time I'm seeing you.
good morning.
Second time I'm seeing you recently without the bow tie. What happened to the bow tie?
I love this, Daddy. More of this.
I didn't want us to be in competition this morning. This is my own contribution to the patriotism spirit that I feel about the royal visit or the state visit to the United Kingdom. Thank you for inviting me to be on your platform. You haven't asked me any questions.
I was going to ask
how
you.
do you want me to handle this?
Okay, the visit has been described as historic, symbolic, and cultural. Now, what do you think of all of this? The history, the culture, the symbolism, the pageantry, and whether this is indeed, as the king pointed out, King Charles III, a partnership of equals, and lessons being learned by both Nigeria and the UK, with the monarch quoting Yoruba proverb that rain doesn't fall on one roof, Igbo proverb that 2 heads are better than one, and Hausa proverb that when the music changes, the dance step will also change. Apparently, the king is very familiar with Nigerian culture and its diversity.
Well, the president is back in Nigeria. Let me also start by saying Ekuafo Jubao. He's arrived safely. People see in you at times what you don't see in yourself. And I'd like to divide the optics of the royal visit into two. One, the one that took place in Windsor, and then the one with the Prime Minister. The one that took place in Windsor, you cannot detract from the magnificence of the show that was put on by the king. In any case, nobody does it better than the British when it comes to putting on a protocol like this. Nothing was missing. They even reminded us of the fact that this will be the second visit by a Muslim head of state during Ramadan. The first being the one by the king of Afghanistan. That was before, they fell up and down. And although they were not sure whether the king of Afghanistan was fasting during that period. And it was King George V who invited him. This will be the second one. There is a symbolism to that. Number two, this will be the first Nigerian head of state in 37 years, I believe, to be invited on a state visit. You must read a meaning into that. And I really believe that what we should be talking about is the significance, rather than trying to link pain about whether the visit should have gone on or not. When you see the show that was put on, do you think that could have been amended at the last minute because of what happened in Maiduguri? Please don't misunderstand me. What happened in Maiduguri was a disaster for Nigerian image. And if for all of us, it is something we should be weeping about. But you don't change a state visit at the last second because of something that happened. Maybe that's part of our culture. We change things and then, the other side is waiting. You don't do that to Britain. And by the way, you don't do that to the United States. So you keep all those people waiting because you have stopped because of something that happened in your country. Things happen, disasters happen, but state events go on. And so I, as a Nigerian, I thank King Charles III for putting on that show and not taking anything from it. The state dinner again was magnificently put on. Again, I hope the protocol in Nigeria was watching how they came in. Nobody was rushing around. Nobody was pushing anybody anywhere. People knew their position in the queue. And that's how all of this went on. So really, I thank the king for the show he put on for us. This was not a signal just to Nigerians that we are better than we think we are. It's also a signal to the rest of the world that if Great Britain, through the royalty, could value Nigeria and show this value by what they put on, the rest of the world should also be paying attention to Nigeria, because Great Britain is still Great Britain, is not small Britain. So I think these are the signals that we should be holding on to. It was Winston Churchill who used to say that, politics stops at the shore. And that, he will wait until he gets back to Great Britain by the time he starts all his criticism of the government. And I think really we ought to learn that, even in our politics. I feel rather put off, again, when people bring politics into something like this. They don't know what they are talking about.
All right.
Okay. Now, the part, okay. You were
going to say the part. Okay, let me ask my question, sir, and then you can just tie it up with what you were about to say, because it follows off from what you're saying. I love that and I've been looking forward to your view, actually, on the president's visits, coming from your wealth of experience. But we've now had this good outing in the United Kingdom. You've talked about how it's good for us diplomatically in our relationship with the UK. How do we then consolidate on this good outing? Because at the end of the day, the purpose of diplomacy and diplomatic relationships like this is where we as a country can benefit from. So, I mean, we've talked about the trade deals, we've talked about some of the agreements that have been signed. In your estimation, has this been a fair deal in terms of the gains, the outcomes for Nigeria based on this diplomatic visit in the immediate and in the long term? What would be the benefit to Nigeria?
Thank you, Ayo. I was expecting this question, but I was expecting it from Rufai and not from you. But I was expecting the question. I mean, nevertheless, because it is a question that needs to be raised. But before I answer your question, please permit me to say one more thing that I think is very, very significant. Again, maybe because of my age, I pay attention to some of the things that young people may not pay attention to. Look, my heart was in my mouth when I saw this in Windsor City, and that the president had to climb. Dr. Abati will tell you, because we met, I think, last week. I use a walking stick, and when I say staircase coming up, believe me, I'm wondering what's going to happen to me if I am not helped. And to watch the president after the crisis in Turkey climb those steps,